This movie will be about the 1986 occult science fiction movie Solar Babies. So almost 40 years ago this movie was made, and it's a movie for kids, tweens, and teens. The plot is that in a bleak post-apocalyptic future, most of the Earth's water has been depleted due to climate change. The water is controlled by an eco-protectorate, which is a parliamentary organization who governs the planet's new order. Orphan children and teens live in an orphanage created by the protectorate, designed to indoctrinate new recruits into their service. An alien in the form of an orb comes to rescue the kids and the environment when Daniel, a deaf child, finds that orb in a cave. And the orb is an alien with special powers. And the legend surrounding it is that a visitor from the heavens came to Earth to free the waters. The orb can do miracles like making it rain, kind of like this Dragon King god who is celebrated with the Dragon Boat Festival, which Google is promoting today. The orb also restores the deaf boy's hearing. And the name of the orb is Bodhi, and Bodhi is Sanskrit, the word meaning enlightenment. So the protectorate are trying to destroy the orb, but eventually the orb magically sparks a thunderstorm, so he saves the environment. And then he returns to space, but he leaves a part of himself with all the teens. And then the teens are eventually rescued by a band of older outlaws called the Eco Warriors, led by Tara, the female character's long-lost father, Green Tree. So this narrative about the environment being destroyed and being saved by aliens in the New Age was brewing even back in the 1980s in the movies, and long before that in general. In the end, the orphans are seen swimming together in a newly restored ocean, and then they all get together in a witch circle around the orb before it heads back into space at the end of the movie. So Darstar is a witch shaman type character. This is him. And he draws a sigil in the sand trying to make it rain. Darstar wears an all-seeing eye on the back of his jacket all over the time in the film, and he's referred to as Mr. Magic. So let's look at some of the other occult symbolism in the movie. They have a skate park where they play skateball, and there's basically graffiti all over the walls. And I'm just going to be showing some of the symbolism on that graffiti. So here, the demon, the devil, whatever. You have this sigil which appears all the time. Scorpion. You have a scarab beetle, which I think is in here somewhere. You have this snake. Their goal is looking like a double helix for their skateball game. Again, you have this sigil. In their dorm room, they have this swirl, which I've heard is a pedo symbol. It also represents a portal. Also in their dorm, you have the all-seeing eye. And I'm sure I missed some, but it's basically all over this movie. So, as we know, there are frequent connections between actors, directors, screenplay writers of these occult movies. So the same ones are used repeatedly because many of them are bloodliners and others are groomed, etc. So the director is Alan Johnson, and he's best known as a choreographer for Mel Brooks films such as Dracula, Dead and Loving It, Springtime for Hitler, History of the World Part 1, and Young Frankenstein. But he directed this movie, Solar Babies, and also To Be or Not to Be. So let's look at some of the actor characters. So you have Darstar, and Darstar is Adrian Pazdar, and he was the vampire in Near Dark. There he is with his owl. Some of his other movies are House of Frankenstein, The Exorcism, Transformers, Iron Man and Captain America, Lego Marvel Superheroes, and Ghost Brigade. You have Canis, which I couldn't find an image of, but he's played by Willoughby Gray, who's Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. And his films include The Mark of Cain, Young Winston, about Winston Churchill, The Princess Bride, The Mummy, and Stranger from Venus. You also have Dogger, and I think Dogger's this one here on the left. He's a British actor, and his films include Billy the Kid and the Green Bay's Vampire, For Queen and Country, Wrath of the Dragon God, Full Eclipse, Necronomicon, Warlock 3, The End of Innocence, Highlander, Endgame, Dungeons and Dragons. You have Tug, played by Peter DeLuise, who wrote and directed the Stargate franchise, and I think that's him on the right, the blonde, the glasses. You have Tara, who's the female, and that's played by Jamie Gertz, who played the damsel in the Lost Boys vampire movie. She owns the Atlanta Hawks basketball team now. Jason is the one in the middle, Jason Patrick, born John Anthony Miller III. His roles were the Lost Boys. He was the protagonist, trying not to turn into a vampire. His other movies are The Beast, After Dark, My Sweet, Frankenstein Unbound, and he played Lord Byron in that one. He was also in Nightshade and MK Ultra. Daniel is the little kid, played by Lucas Haas, and his films include The Wizard of Loneliness, Mars Attacks, and Babylon, with Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, and I hadn't even heard about that movie. But you get the idea about how these actors, they're used over and over again for the same narratives. So in this one movie, made for kids basically almost 40 years ago, you have the climate change eco scare, the overlords in the New World Order narrative, but then the alien savior comes in with mystical and miracle powers to save the teens and save the earth. You have the orb, which we see all over, now people are reporting whatever they are. I'm pretty sure they're a government psyop. You have demonic witchcraft symbols and sigils. And then you have the witch at the end who becomes accepted into the group eventually. Thanks for listening.